Do you know that more than 80% of the luxury leather products like handbags, purses, and shoes of Louis Vuitton, Chanel, Gucci, Coach, Prada, you name it, most of them are made in China.
The battlefield is TikTok. It is flooded with such factory videos. Chinese suppliers are reaching out to American customers direct.
Luxury's biggest illusion has just been shattered. Chinese manufacturers have thrown open the factory doors and exposed what might be the fashion industry's most tightly guarded secret. In an online firestorm that's captured millions, Louis Vuitton's now facing public outrage, store chaos, lawsuits, and billions in losses. Customers are furious, secrets are spilling, and behind the scenes, laws are being broken, CEOs may be fleeing, and the entire luxury world is trembling. You thought you were buying prestige? You might have just bought a $15 bag with a $2,000 lie stamped on it. Let's break this all the way down.
Who are the suppliers behind this? Salomon, Timberland, New Balance, Adidas, Nike, la 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 la. First, Baocheng Factory.
China makes 80% of your designer bags.
Who's the Chinese supplier behind Under Armour? Shenzhou International.
Nike shoes from China to your country?
Not just calling them out, they're showing the world exactly where your $1,000 handbag or your $100 leggings are really being made. They're now offering you the same exact stuff, no middleman, no markup. In a bold move that seems more like economic warfare than manufacturing, Chinese workers are lifting the lid on $1 billion illusion.
A digital uprising has erupted across TikTok, where Chinese suppliers are now directly confronting the luxury fashion industry with receipts in hand. These manufacturers are no longer silent partners, they're exposing the truth with video proof, showing that over 80% of high-end leather items like handbags, wallets, and shoes from brands such as Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Prada, and Chanel are manufactured in China. The footage is impossible to ignore. With precise details, they're revealing exactly where these so-called European luxury goods are made, how they're produced, and what they really cost.
Even though these brands brag about being made in Europe, the video claims that more than half of Louis Vuitton's bags are actually made in China.
But this isn't just about revealing supply chains, it's about collapsing a multi-billion-dollar illusion. Chinese factory workers are bypassing middlemen and offering the same goods directly to consumers, cutting through the inflated markups and revealing just how much of the luxury price tag is branding, not craftsmanship. It's a stunning act of economic defiance, one that's rapidly changing how consumers view the fashion elite. The narrative of made in Europe is crumbling, and with TikTok as the battlefield, the war on fashion's biggest lie has begun. The backlash against Louis Vuitton has reached critical mass after a now viral video showed a Chinese factory worker calmly dismantling the brand's mystique. In the video, he details how bags that retail for thousands of dollars are assembled for as little as $15. This revelation sent shockwaves through the consumer base, many of whom had long believed they were purchasing handcrafted European elegance. Instead, they've discovered that their luxury purchases may have originated in mass production lines overseas, with only the label added once the product arrives in Europe. Storefronts in major cities have seen crowds of angry buyers demanding answers, venting betrayal, and in some cases, allegedly vandalizing displays. The psychological fallout is potent. How does one continue to carry a luxury item with pride after learning it might be the result of corporate deceit? The emotional investment in these pieces has been shattered. For a customer who was sold the idea of heritage and exclusivity, this is not just a product issue, it's a violation of trust. TikTok has transformed into ground zero for whistleblowing. Luxury exposes, with influencers and factory insiders flooding the platform with behind-the-scenes footage, sourcing spreadsheets, and step-by-step guides on how to trace the origins of your favorite high-end accessories. These creators are not only exposing the truth, they're empowering consumers to verify it. One viral video even walked viewers through a spreadsheet listing all the known Chinese factories.
Asking you guys shall receive. You want a tutorial? I got you. So let's just click my link in my bio, and it's going to take you to my landing page. Just scroll down a little bit, and here you will find the spreadsheet. This is if you want my personalized help, and this is if you want anything added to the spreadsheet. So let's go ahead and click my spreadsheet. So here we have all of the vendors that I've compiled for you guys.
Allegedly producing goods for major labels. The transparency is staggering. For years, the public was conditioned to associate made in China with low quality and made in Europe with superior craftsmanship. That illusion has now been peeled away. The new reality? China has quietly mastered the art of luxury production, while Western brands have profited from consumer ignorance. As more evidence surfaces and public awareness grows, the digital revolt is intensifying. The fashion industry can't hide behind glossy ad campaigns anymore because now the receipts are public, searchable, and undeniable. Louis Vuitton attempted to do damage control by issuing a carefully crafted statement denying the claims.
Now, a statement has been released to the press, seemingly from a source close to Louis Vuitton. In their statement, the source close to the brand said, "Louis Vuitton want everyone to know that what these people are saying is completely false and untrue, and they want everyone to understand that every item LV releases is made under meticulously high standards,"
insisting that their products continue to meet the highest standards of quality. But the public isn't buying it literally or figuratively. The brand's refusal to provide any visual proof of their European manufacturing operations has only deepened suspicions. Meanwhile, Chinese manufacturers are flooding the internet with factory walkthroughs, worker interviews, and shipping documentation. The contrast is stark. While Louis Vuitton hides behind vague assurances, Chinese suppliers are offering unfiltered transparency. Even luxury consumers, once loyal and unquestioning, are beginning to doubt everything they thought they knew about the origins of their purchases. The trust that once made brands like Louis Vuitton untouchable is now eroding rapidly, and the lack of proof is being interpreted not as discretion, but as guilt. In a bold move that only intensified the backlash, Louis Vuitton quietly hiked prices between 3% and 6% across product categories, including bags, perfumes, wallets, and accessories, without any public announcement. Unlike Hermes, which respectfully gave customers notice before a similar increase, price adjustment was stealthy and unapologetic. Shoppers found out at the register, blindsided by higher totals with no explanation. The timing couldn't have been worse. At a moment when the brand is facing credibility issues, they chose to squeeze even more from their customers. This decision has been widely interpreted as opportunistic and tone-deaf, reinforcing accusations of corporate greed and disregard for consumer loyalty. It's one thing to sell a fantasy, it's another to silently raise the cost of that fantasy while the illusion is falling apart. The move has left many wondering whether Louis Vuitton even respects the people who made it a global powerhouse. This isn't the first time Louis Vuitton has been accused of exploiting its customer base through pricing manipulation. During the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, when global economies were shuttered and consumers were cutting spending, Louis Vuitton implemented a series of price increases, citing disrupted supply chains and rising raw material costs. But in 2025, years after the crisis has ended and supply networks have stabilized, the brand continues to quietly inflate prices. This pattern has led many to believe that the brand's pricing strategy is less about cost recovery and more about capitalizing on brand loyalty. The luxury house seems to be operating under the assumption that its clientele will absorb any hike without resistance, an assumption that's now being tested under the weight of widespread outrage and digital exposure. The timing of these increases, paired with the manufacturing revelations, paints a picture of a company more committed to profit margins than product integrity. The legal war has now begun. Louis Vuitton and Hermes have reportedly filed lawsuits against multiple Chinese factories, accusing them of breaching non-disclosure agreements, leaking proprietary designs, and producing counterfeit versions of their products. These aren't minor suppliers, these are long-standing partners the brands allegedly trusted for years. According to insiders, some of these factories were producing official products by day and crafting nearly identical knockoffs by night. The lawsuits aim to reclaim control over the narrative, but they've had the opposite effect, drawing even more attention to the controversy. The implication that these brands were so closely tied to the very factories they now accuse of wrongdoing only deepens consumer skepticism. If these manufacturers weren't real partners, how did they have access to design files, materials, and production molds? The legal offensive is starting to look more like a smokescreen than a solution. Consumers are now demanding something simple: proof. They want to see the factories, the artisans, the production process, just like what's being shown in China. And yet, luxury houses like Louis Vuitton, Hermes, and others remain silent. Critics are pointing out that even high-performance automakers like Lamborghini and Ferrari offer behind-the-scenes views of their assembly lines. So why won't fashion brands do the same for a leather bag? This refusal to show transparency is raising serious red flags. The longer these companies hold back, the louder the public suspicion grows. It's becoming increasingly clear that the luxury industry has operated in a carefully curated fog of mystique and marketing. marketing. And now that the curtain is being pulled back, there's far less to see than anyone imagined. This entire scandal cannot be separated from the broader economic shift happening globally. China's dominance in manufacturing is not only undeniable, it's now disruptive. For years, Western luxury industries leaned on Chinese production while clinging to European branding. That strategy is collapsing. Chinese suppliers have mastered not just mass production, but luxury-grade craftsmanship. They're now turning their skills into leverage and going direct to consumer, offering the same quality goods without the markup or deception. This isn't just a supply chain issue anymore, it's a geopolitical tipping point. The narrative of Western superiority and luxury is being rewritten, and China isn't just part of the story anymore, it's writing the next chapter. Amid the chaos, the financial fallout has begun hitting the very top. Bernard Arnault, CEO of Louis Vuitton GmbH and the world's richest man for a time, is now rumored to be considering early retirement. His wealth reportedly dropped by $9 billion in a single morning after Louis Vuitton GmbH shares plunged following a disappointing earnings report. While the official story is that Arnault planned to remain CEO until at least 85, insiders are now whispering that the pressure from this controversy may force his exit much sooner. The company is losing control of the narrative, its stock is sliding, and its credibility is in freefall. This scandal has not only rocked the brand's image, it's shaken the very foundation of modern luxury.